Test. I have been talking to myself like a child, and this is not the way that my room or my set is going to look, but let's get unbothered.
Everything bothers him.
He's unbothered.
He calls it unbothered, but that's what's cute because everything bothers him. He's bothered. I'm a botherina.
What's up, everybody? Here with yet another episode of Unbothered by Ty Rivera. That's right, it's Unbothered by Ty Rivera. I'm your host, Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. So here's the deal. My room does not look the way that it's actually going to look. This isn't probably where I'm going to have everything situated or how I'm going to have everything situated. But if you guys don't know about me, just like I hate checking where I'm going, I also hate measuring things. So I will be honest when I tell you that I did not do any measurements to get my furniture, and everything's going to fit perfectly. But at the same time, I've left myself in a position where I really have to maximize in the way that I do things, which is not a bad thing at all because me and Bijou are small people. And I'll end up showing you guys all the way what my apartment looks like when I'm done. But for right now, I still have to wait for a bit more of my furniture. So there's that. But here's the deal. I've always lived my life and all of Bijou's life. We've been kind of doing things in a way where things can be easily stricken. And that's a great way to live your life. It's super fun. But at the same time, a lot of times when I would buy furniture, I would buy furniture from IKEA. That's a place that I would go all the time, which nothing against the IKEA hustle. And anybody that's got a bunch of IKEA furniture, I will always say that IKEA has some really great stuff. The problem that I've noticed with IKEA, though, is IKEA does not move from one place to the next with you. It starts to get wobbly. You just can't rely on it forever. You can rely on it forever if you don't move it. That's what I'll say. So there's that. But when I moved here, because my real thing with Austin is for some reason, I just feel connected to this place. And I don't know why that is. I'm going to talk as honestly as I talk. So if anybody's not ready for it, thinks I sound weird, it's cool. You're not ready for it and I sound weird. But for some reason, I just feel like I have this connection with this city. I don't know why that is. And I felt that as soon as I came here. And that feeling has not escaped me for the entire time that I've been going through all the bullshit that I've been going through since I got here. And through everything, I've kept a good attitude because in my head, I thought this is where you're supposed to be. And this is just the headache that's going to come with settling down. And that's where my thinking is. So anybody that thinks I'm just here in Austin just to check it out, I don't know what the future holds, but that's not what's going on in my head right now. I am 100% committed to just this city. I don't know why. But also, if you ever notice the way that I move in general when it comes to life, that's something that's very me. Like if I really just feel something, I'm just there. And usually I do live a pretty stable life. You know, it's not like I'm always moving from place to place. In the last year, it's been kind of rough in that way. And I've really had to be conscious about Snoopy Bijou because Snoopy is not at all a bad dog. She's not a bad girl even a little bit. But being her daddy for as long as I have been now, I do notice when her little mood changes, and I do notice when she's feeling a little like, okay, I don't know what we're doing right now. Because with Bijou, the first place I lived with Bijou, I had that apartment for 4 years. Then there was Arizona in between, and there we moved 2 different times, but it was like moves across town. So she really wasn't affected by a lot of it. But what's happened over the last year has been a lot for us of moving around. Because once we got to Vegas, we were in the same place for 3 years. So Bijou is very used to living the way that she lives. Me, I've always been a little bit more on the nomadic side. You know, I could tell you about when I was super young. There was one time when I moved 14 times in 1 year. If you do the math on that, there were 2 months there apparently that I moved twice. So I've always been in a mindset where I don't really put things or buy things that are meant to last. That has been something that I consciously do. But now I actually want to be here. And so I was like, why don't I get some grown-up furniture? I'll be honest when I say I don't have the best taste. It's not like, I went super expensive or anything like that, but I just did actually go to furniture stores and I got stuff that was going to be functional for my life and also looked like what I liked it to look. But also, I plan to settle down soon anyway. So, the way I see it, because I've been slowing down on all of my behaviors. And if you guys follow me, you know my behaviors. You know I talk about Grindr. This is not just talk, all right? This is my life. And so, I'm not going to say I haven't been on Grindr, but it's just not like it was in Las Vegas. I don't want to concentrate on that. I'm not going to change my life to go do some of the things that I would do when I was in Las Vegas, especially towards the end. I got kind of wild towards the end there, and the people that know me know that, so it's not like I'm coming out with any kind of confession or something like that. I just don't think that I talked about it. I think if you pay attention to me, you can tell that I'm obviously sexually active and not at all living a prudish life or whatever. But I don't think that I've really painted it to the degree that it actually was when I was in Las Vegas, especially as I was getting ready to leave. Like, I was kind of crazy. But also, in my opinion, in my head, maybe it was like my bachelor party, because I don't want to continue to live that life. And I don't regret the things I did. It's not that kind of conversation that we're having right now. But just as far as moving forward and me maturing as a person and where I actually want to be, where I want Bijou to be, I want to settle down. So the way I see it, me not having the best taste in the world is a perfect situation for my future husband to come in and be like, this place looks like shit. And really, he'll probably say it a lot nicer than that to me, because he'll be in love and I'll be in love too. And I'll be like, yeah, of course, this place looks like shit. I've been waiting for you to come along and redecorate it for me. I've been waiting for you to come along and be Bijou's mother. We've been waiting on you. So get to work, make it look the way it's supposed to look, and let me do what I'm supposed to do. Because right now, I really am concentrating on work. I am concentrating on setting myself up so that I can work as much as possible. Some people will comment to me about things like, I can't wait to see what the drama is in Austin. Well, there's not going to be any drama in Austin as far as I go, because I'm not going to allow that to be a part of my life. And I'm not going to say there won't be controversy, but as far as me having controversy here in Austin, no, that's not at all what I'm here for. When I say controversy, I mean like occasionally I'll make a video that somebody won't like an opinion on and people will come after me and try to cancel me or that kind of stuff. That's always going to happen, because I have, and it's not at all by design, I just have a different way of looking at things. And so that's why sometimes you'll notice I'll do a video like 2 days after something has happened. And that's usually because I'm usually looking at it in different ways and trying to be like, okay, how do I really feel about this? And do I really care about it in the first place? And does it affect my life? And so there's a lot. That's why my videos will a lot of times be like stuff nobody else is saying. And it's just because for me, it takes a lot for me to come to a decision on sometimes what people are doing or what people are thinking. And then sometimes even after I make the video, then my thinking will evolve even more in one direction or the other, but I don't usually make a follow-up video. Maybe that's something I'll start doing more often, but with the Kanye situation, I made a full video about that, and that video didn't get a huge amount of views or whatever, but the people that watched it, actually, some of them felt some stuff, so they chimed in, and I get that, but like, the fact is, my thinking is my thinking. And so, like I said, there always probably will be like spurts of controversy about me or about things I say or things I do. But as far as me actively having drama, I'm not here for any of that. Like, that is not at all what we're doing in Austin. And I'm going to put out the videos that I recorded, but you'll be able to tell that they were recorded. One was before I had anything here, I had one stool, and I talk about that. So I'll put that video out. But the videos that I need to edit, about like the Lex Las Vegas situation and wrapping up kind of the Vegas stuff. Like I'll do the Gooch video eventually, but these videos will take more editing than most people realize. Most people don't realize how much of a process that really is, but you add pictures, you add video, like you have to find all that stuff, and I need to get better about the way that I organize even as far as that goes. And so that's why I said at the beginning that I have been talking to myself like a child, because living the life that I've lived and being the way that I've been, there have been times where like certain parts of my life were really organized and really together and really what I needed them to be as functional as they needed to be. But then when it comes to my personal life, and I do mean my actual personal life, like not Ty Rivera, but the guy that owns him, is walking around with shit not as organized as it should be. And it's like, why am I doing that? Why do I wait until the last minute to file things in different cases? And like I told you guys in other videos, I've been getting better each place that I move, each time. And so in that way, I feel like the moves have been good, because each time I pare down even more and I lose that pack rat mentality that I do have in certain ways. Like it's weird that, and I guess it kind of makes sense if you think about it just from a purely psychological level, but if you're constantly thinking in the way of nothing is permanent, then you try to hold on to a bunch of little things that you can take with you. Like, as silly as it might sound, papers, little notes, cards. So it's just sometimes things where it's like, why do you hold on to this? And to me, in some ways, that makes sense. And a lot of people, do chat with me about different things and, talk to me about my thinking and stuff like that. And a lot of people will admit that it's unconventional, but at the same time, like I get good results doing the things that I need to do, but now I need even better results. And so that's going to take being even more together. Because like I said, sometimes things will be disorganized, but I still keep it together but if I were to pare all that down even more and stop with that mentality and not ever think about where I'm living, because this place, I mean, unless I just end up buying a house, unless that money just comes along, then this place is just where me and Bijou are. I like it here. I really am comfortable here. It's clean and it's nice. And I'm not at all looking to leave this spot. Something would really have to take off for me to consider that. And even then, I'd probably stay here until I found the perfect place, because I really do like this place. But this is a good chance for a true reset. And so as I've been unboxing things, because, you'll be in a situation where you're like, oh, this is actually looking pretty good. And then I had to wait for like office furniture to get here, or a desk, and because I needed to put stuff on my desk and that kind of stuff. And then I had to wait for drawers to get here because my clothes, and like everything just made it so at different points I've been having to go through boxes, and at some points leave boxes in a corner. Now the boxes are completely empty. Everything's either where it needs to be or right next to where it needs to be, because I did like a step one process as I was taking everything out of the boxes. Like with a person like me, in a lot of cases when I would move when I was younger or whatever, you just take everything out of the boxes kind of like in bulk or whatever it is they are, and then I'll look at that eventually, and I'll do that eventually as what you think about certain things, and then you end up doing it last minute. Well, this time, instead of doing that, the way that I've been talking to myself like a child is by really running it down. So in my head, I'll take out, something from boxes, and let's say it's a bunch of notebooks, which every comic is always going to have more notebooks than they need. That's not even all my notebooks. There's a bunch more notebooks at my parents' place. They're all eventually locatable, but I don't know exactly where they are. But there's a lot of notebooks. I mean, I've been doing comedy for 19 years. And so anyway, so like take a stack like that, okay, let's just get to what is the actual jokes in that. So I had to like go through and get rid of cards and napkins and things that you just write on sometimes. And like, it's an actual process. And so like everything that I'm taking out of my boxes, I'm actually going through and putting it where it's actually supposed to go or close to where it's going to eventually be. Because like I said, once I'm done with this part of the process, then I've got to go back and see what I actually need. Because when it comes to electronics like that, anybody that has a lot of electronics or has had a lot of electronics at any point in their life knows you have wires, you have cables, you have all sorts of stuff. And some of it is outdated. You don't even need anymore. There's nothing that runs on it. There's nothing that uses it. Even like Ethernet cable, if it's old, it's not good. So what I do is right now, I'll just be like, okay, well, go ahead and put that in the pile with all the electronic stuff. So at least it's all in the same spot. Because at different points, I've had, like, when I was taking things out of boxes, it's like there was very little order to the way that I was living at that point. I could tell by the way that the boxes came out, because obviously, as you're going to room, you're putting things in boxes, and it's kind of like, this didn't make sense. I don't know what I was doing. And so the way I talk to myself is I'm like, okay, well, if you're not going to do that now, then when are you going to do it? And so then that'll get me a little bit in check, and I'll be like, okay, well, I guess now would be the time that I'm supposed to do it, but I just don't feel like it. Okay, well, you don't feel like it. So who do you think is going to do it? Who is going to show up and just magically organize your stuff? Like, even if you hired somebody, like there was a point where I thought about hiring this girl that said that she was just really, great about that kind of stuff. And I trusted her enough. I didn't have a problem with the idea, but it was just a matter of, she won't know what is actually important to me. Because while I'm going through things, sometimes, like I said, I'm just throwing things away, but I will be looking at things as I'm going through them, and I'll be like, oh, okay, well, this is actually a personal memory. This is actually a cute note. This is actually from somebody that I really like, and so there's those things too. And so I've been just really doing that with every box. And so it's taken a lot of my concentration. It's taken a lot of my time. Then there was also like the logistics and the technical side of getting set up, because like I do need things to work a particular way. Like my desk is great because it has a bunch of stuff, where it's like extra outlets and USB. And then there's also USB in my apartment, like USB connections on a few of the, what's it called? Like I live in a perfect apartment for me. It does. USB on the outlets, it's like there's a plug, and then in between there's USB. And when I see things like that, and I know, again, some people will think this is weird thinking or whatever, but when I see things like that, it makes me feel even more like I'm in the right spot and at the right place, because those things, even USB ports being in the outlets, to me, give the idea that this place is built for a person that wants to be working at the speeds that I want to work on. Because I don't mind living life in the current time that we're at. And technically, when it comes to technology and stuff like that, even though I'm not the best at it or whatever, I'm actually decent at the things I need to do. And when I need to get something done, I'll do the research to find it out. And yeah, I don't like reading, but I can watch videos, and I'm a kinesthetic learner, which is a person that learns by actually doing things rather than reading. There's different kinds of learners. I'm kinesthetic. And so when it comes to me running myself through it is the best way to do it anyway. And so it's kind of trial by fire, which is in a lot of cases the way I live my life. And so anyway, so I really do have to talk myself through the whole process, as far as like, okay, if you're not going to do it, then who's going to do it? Okay, you can't hire anybody to do it. So then who's going to do it? Okay, well then I guess it's back on me. I guess I have to do it. Okay, so when are you doing it? You're going to do it right now. So then I'll sit myself down and I'll actually make myself do it. And if I really, really am dying in the process, then I'll go smoke a cigarette. But ideally, the thing is to just be disciplined. And that's one thing I've always told you guys about myself. I am very disciplined. And so when it comes to me realizing that I have to make the shift and not only be disciplined when it comes to working out, which I just got to get back to start working out in the last week or so. I got to, and I still haven't been going full throttle, but that too, it's like I've got to kick that into high gear as well and get it to where it's supposed to be and get my body looking the way that it's supposed to be. And that's something that's important to me. I like when my body looks a particular way. We've talked about that. We've been over that. And so it's like if you're going to have everything running at its maximum potential, then you have to be as organized as you possibly can be. And you have to stop procrastinating. And that's me talking to myself. I'm not trying to be anybody's life coach right now. I'm not trying to tell you guys what you need to do. You might be working at 100% of what you're supposed to be working at or where you're supposed to be. And for a long time, I have been too, but just not in every aspect. And that's something that I have to look at myself about, and I have to say, this is what I actually have to do to get my life from A to B, to get my life from where I am now to exactly where I want to be, which in a lot of cases, in my case, is a trick question, because in a lot of ways, I am exactly where I want to be. But I want to evolve with that. I want to continue to, because I don't want to be in a relationship where it's really 50-50. I guess if that's what happens, but I don't want it to have to be 50-50. I want to be able to just take care of the person I'm with. You know, I want to continue to do stand-up. That's not something I think about not doing. I want to create more content and hire people to do the editing part for me, to do the parts of it that I feel like, even though I might like aspects of it, because when it comes to editing, I don't try to make that sound too terrible, because I do like it, and I could do my podcast without adding the things that I add, but I like things to have a particular feel to them. You know, I'm not always the most worried about the look, and if I was right now, I would have done my room a different way to make it. But like giving you guys the feel and making you feel like you're getting a part of my life, if you actually watch the video and getting to see at least some of what I saw, or me able to illustrate these things through video, then for me, I really feel like that's worth it. And so eventually I want to just hire people to do that, though. A full-time assistant would be nice. People don't realize how, those of you who are in relationships, you don't realize how lucky you are. And sometimes you put a lot on single people and expect us to be able to do all the things that you're able to do, not realizing that every once in a while, your husband or your wife, your partner, does help you out in some ways that when you're single, you just don't have that. You know, even something as simple as if you forgot something at home and you can just call the person that you're with and be like, hey, can you look at that paper on the table and tell me what the phone number is to such and such, or things like that, you know, or can you run by the store on the way home? If things fuck up for me, I have to handle that fuck up myself. It's not like I have anybody else. And I had that happen with me with AT&T, and I probably look like a little bit of a Karen to the guy that I was dealing with, but he didn't realize he was really fucking me up, you know, and it was with my phone and the way that situation worked out because I just got the 14 Pro Max, and it just created more headache for me than I needed at that time. And I had to go pick out furniture, and I had everything because my stuff was in storage, obviously. So I had to be running back and forth, and I just have my little Civic, and I had a bunch of boxes. And so I did have to run back and forth to get my boxes. And where my storage room is located is about 30 minutes away from where I live. And so each time, you know, it's 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. If I happen to be running errands out that way, but I also don't know where anything is. So I'll just randomly look at my GPS and be like, okay, like, am I close to the storage room right now? And so there was that happening at the same time. Then there's just regular life stuff. Then there's trying to fit in food, which some people have mentioned jokingly in my DMs that I have been eating a lot of really like bad foods, but you know, which have been delicious. But eating is not one of my favorite things though, but the food I've been eating has been delicious. But It has to be. It's weird because right now the food that I eat does have to be delicious, or else I just don't want to eat. That's something I've talked about before, my relationship with food. And that I don't really feel like is necessarily a part of any kind of body dysmorphia or anything like that. It's just that part. I don't feel like food is necessary if I'm just, well, I guess it kind of is, because I don't feel like food is necessary if I'm not working out, which means I, on some level, think that I have to earn food in order to eat it. Well, I guess we find out different things about ourselves all the time. Anyway, it's called Unbothered for a reason. I'm unbothered that you guys will know all of this about me. I don't care. But what I'm trying to get at is, like, people will comment about the fact that I've been eating these foods that probably wouldn't make you look the best if you ate them all the time, and I still am at least staying at a manageable weight. Well, that's not completely true. Just, there was a point where I felt like I was getting a little soft, a little bit fat, and I just don't post videos of it at that time. But the other thing is, the reason it didn't get it all out of control is the one time that you guys see me post a video during a day of what it is I ate, there's a 99% chance that on that day, that's all that I actually ate. So if you saw me barbecue, if you saw me Mexican food, that will literally have been pretty much all I ate that day. Now, I'm not going to lie and say every once in a while I didn't have a candy bar or something like that, but like actually having food, that would be the one time. And it was because I don't really see a point of eating things that aren't going to taste good when you're eating only once a day. And also, if I'm not going to be able to be on my eating plan, then I might as well just eat whatever it is I want, is the way that I see it. And now I'm able to get back on my actual plan and be well, I'm glad all this has happened the way that it's happened. And I will tell you guys that, because there were the struggles for sure, with the, other apartment situation and the rats. And I still got to see what they're going to try to do on that. Hopefully they're reasonable about it, because that one, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'll show up in court for that one. Like, if they try to do anything negative to my credit, or it's like, no, that shouldn't happen. And I've got this timestamps with all those pictures, that'll tell them when it was the rat situation happened and what, like, that will not be a thing. But my point is, like, the rough parts of this situation have definitely been worth it, and will definitely have been worth it if I continue to do things the way that I'm supposed to, because now I have a chance to appreciate the things that I would regularly take for granted, like the fact that I haven't been able to work out as much as I want to work out. So now that I'm able to work out, I appreciate it a lot more. I used to be really picky about the particular machine I use. Well, I'm using a machine here at the gym that isn't my regular treadmill. It's a Precor, and I'm used to using Life Fitness. And so when it comes to things like this, it's like, it's good for me because I get to actually appreciate the things that I would usually take for granted. And I do need to be more appreciative in my everyday life, which is something that has been happening just naturally. And I experienced that at different points. I'm not going to act like my life was void of this when I was living at the different places. I can run down that with anybody, and I don't mind. At first, when I moved in with Steph, I thought that was going to be great, because she really was painting things to be a way other than what they were. And then when I moved in at the other apartments where the rats ended up being, at first, I was super psyched about that and was like, okay, me and Beej got our complete own place again. We got away from the place that we were at with my ex, which I think on some level, even though I felt like I needed to be there for the entire time that I was there, I felt like at some point I needed to grow out of that and, change the situation altogether, even though that place was comfortable for me. And I'll never talk shit about that place itself, because that place was clean. It had no rats, roaches, anything like that. It was a great place to live. And I, didn't like the management in the end because of some shady shit they were pulling. And one day I could probably do a video about that and show you guys what some of that bullshit was. And because I'm going to start a series that'll be on my channel about me being difficult, because there's different points in my life where people have said I was difficult, and I was like, no, that wasn't difficult at all. And if people knew that story, they wouldn't at all side with the other people on that, because that was just actually me being reasonable for a long time, and then finally getting like, okay, well, these are things that things need to be done about. But that place and the growth that I was able to experience there, the personal growth that I was able to experience there, the way I was able to work out from there at different points, the amount of work I did out of that apartment, you know, because that's when I was really doing brewery comedy tour at first, and then I did quite a bit of just regular road work as well, and clubs, and like, so I'm thankful to that first spot that I was at in Vegas. And then so we get to the one that was the rat place. And that place too, I would have been fine with if I just didn't have the rats and the time that my window got broken, which I still haven't fully gone into that story too. I have that on a video that I need to edit. But anyway, my point is, right now, I am setting myself up for true success. That's what's happening right now. So if I have a couple of days where maybe I don't post any content, which I know that this has been more than a couple of days. I don't remember the last time I posted a video. I know I did an Unbothered at some point. I don't know where things are chronologically right now with my YouTube, but it's because I haven't been able to concentrate on that. Literally have not been able to. But once I'm able to do things exactly the way I want to do them, there will be an actual, like, just continuous where we just keep going. And right now, if I don't take this time and do the things that I'm supposed to do, and like I said, in some cases, treat myself like a child. Like, you know, I didn't last night. I needed to stay home to work on stuff. And when I'm out and I'm at spots here in Austin, yeah, I'll be having fun. And comics and hanging out with comics is always going to be fun. But at the same time, I have to be out in certain ways so that I can do some of the stuff that's local and let people know here I'm here in town. And that's not just like other comics, but regular people as well. Because what I'm noticing about Austin, and one of the reasons that I'm so excited to be here, even as far as the comics go, is a lot of the comics here, even that you would think are on the newer side, are already doing podcasts, already posting a bunch of clips, already have good Instagram followings, and they're like thinking about the things that you really should be thinking about, which is the stand-up is very important, and the business is very important. Growing your brand and doing the things like that you're supposed to do. And if I'm on a scene where a lot of people are thinking that way, then that's going to make me think that way even more. And if I just stay as in the pocket as I can and keep myself as on task as I possibly can be, and then I, like everybody I've met here so far, I meet through John Carden in some way or indirect way. And so I know that I'm surrounded by people that are also just good people because John Carden is a good person. And like, that's a big part of me being here and like knowing how good it is because of the things that John says, and me knowing what kind of guy John is. Like, John is a really, really good guy, and there's a reason that we've been friends for as long as we've had. And John has had to put up, I've talked about this before too, John has had to put up with me when I was in a shittier place, and he did have to put up with me being a bit of an asshole with him. So like, just the fact that John stuck by me being my friend and stayed my friend this close for all this time tells you something about what his character is, the kind of guy he is. And you know, but my point is, everything here just feels right, and I'm not going to do anything to get in my own way, because why would I? Me and Bijou are thinking about a future. Bijou needs a mother. Bijou, where are you? I'm not going to lie. I do love that Bijou has a mind of her own, and if she doesn't want to come to me, she's not coming to me. So I said, Bijou, where are you? And she didn't come out. You didn't hear her little paws start clicking because she is, whatever she's doing, she's busy. That's what she wants me to know. And she probably thinks that this podcast is going on too long, but I usually do an hour, Beige, but I still think it might be time for us to wrap this one up. So thank you for watching, everybody. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Stay unbothered.